3I Atlas has just flown past our sun, and this close encounter has revealed
There is a very interesting coincidence about this interstellar object arriving right now in 2025, because this year marks a time.
During this peak, the surface of the sun gets whipped up into these giant storms that produce solar flares and coronal mass ejections.
Many of these solar injections will hit the Earth, and that's why people have been seeing brighter auroras in the northern sky throughout 2025.
And this is when 3I Atlas makes its approach.
For any comet, interstellar or not, the most interesting time in its life cycle is going to be when it passes close to a star.
During this time, the object is getting bombarded by energy in the form of heat, radiation, and the coronal mass ejections.
So the same charged particles from the sun that create the northern lights are also hitting 3I Atlas.
Prior to this, 3I Atlas has been very difficult to get a good look at because it's been so far away.
So we were pretty hopeful that this would provide some new details or insights into what 3I Atlas really is. And as you can see, it looks like a big fuzzy white dot.
Now we've got much better stuff coming in just a minute here.
Now you've probably heard that we were not able to see 3I Atlas as it flew past the sun because the Earth was stuck on the opposite side.
It's actually pretty simple. You just put a disk in the middle of the telescope that perfectly lines up with the surface of the sun.
This is a great way for us to monitor the weather patterns of the sun and spot things like solar flares and coronal mass ejections. So using space-based coronagraphs on board the American GOES and the European SOHO satellites, we were able to observe the changes.
The first thing that happened on its approach to the sun was a rapid change in brightness. 3I Atlas started glowing with light. Of course, it would make sense for an object getting closer to a star to also appear brighter, but this was not a subtle increase.
Now, when we first started observing 3I Atlas back in the summer, the light reflecting from its surface was mostly red.
That is pretty weird, because we would typically expect to see a natural comet become more red as it gets closer to the sun.
Now, when we combine the massive change in brightness with the highly unusual change in color, we are only left with a couple of natural explanations.
One is that 3I Atlas suddenly started to release a massive new cloud of bright blue gas. We are not exactly sure what kind of gas that would be.
Explanation 2 would be that this is the beginning of a breakup event. That the sun has actually destroyed 3I.
Again, not an unusual thing to happen to a comet. Many of them break up as they travel through the inner solar system, but we know that's not the case.
Of course, there might be a third explanation for all of this, but you might want to secure your head with a piece of tinfoil for this one.
If there was anything that 3I Atlas has done so far that would indicate alien engine technology, then this would be it. And again, it could be just gas. But then we have to explain what 3I Atlas does next. Following the
As 3I Atlas enters its perihelion, it experiences non-gravitational acceleration for the first time, meaning it's moving under its own propulsion.
The massive gravity well of the company.
We can look at the interstellar comet 2I was observed, Borisov.
So the effect of the sun on 3I Atlas has made it brighter, bluer.
So what we are looking at here in the middle is that bright glowing halo around 3I Atlas, which extends out around 500,000 kilometers in every direction.
Again, we can use Hale-Bopp as an example, known for its very large and distinct tail. And you can see that there are actually two distinct structures.
There is a second plume of gas coming out in the opposite direction from the large one, an antitail. It's closer to about 1 million kilometers in length. Now, you might remember that one of the first odd characteristics of 3I Atlas observed back in the summer was the formation of an
But at the time we first saw the antitail around 3I Atlas, it was still pretty deep out into the solar system, between Mars and Jupiter.
There's been debate about the actual size of 3I Atlas. It's thought to be 5 kilometers wide at most.
That makes it 20 times larger than the first interstellar object, Oumuamua, and 10 times larger than the second interstellar object, 2I Borisov.
And it's important to understand the probability of something this big surviving a trip through interstellar space for billions and billions of years.
And then to have this thing just happen to fly right past our sun at a time in human history where we are actually able to observe it.
At that time, all of our most powerful telescopes, both on the ground and in space, will be trained on this object yet again.